too. Great. So thank you guys for joining me on this call. I really appreciate you attending. We might have some people joining us in the next few moments, but we'll see. And I am recording this, so you guys don't have to mute yourselves. If you have questions, you can pop them in chat if you would prefer, or but I do ask that if like something loud happens, then you do mute yourself. Like if, you know, for me, it's always the mailman comes and then the dogs start barking. So hopefully, hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully he waits until after this to arrive. So we're thrilled to have you volunteering your time and energy at this wonderful event. My name is Christina. I just realized I haven't introduced myself yet. I am the National Volunteer Specialist that oversees the conference. And I'll be doing this presentation. So Jeff, I know, has been to the sanctuary. Kiana, have you ever been there?
No, I have not.
Cool. Well, this will be a little taste of it, but it's very different than the sanctuary, volunteering at the sanctuary, and hopefully you guys can all make it out there someday. So who is local to Atlantic City? Jeff?
I am
actually. Yeah.
And Kiana. Cool. Yay!
Yes, I am too.
Well, great. We're very excited to have locals. I'll definitely be asking for your advice on things to do once we're there. So as you know, you'll be volunteering at the Harrah's Waterfront Convention Center. This is Best Friend's first visit to this location, and we're so excited that you will be a part of it. These pictures were taken at the 2014 conference, and our goal as volunteers and the staff running the event is to help make attendees this year as happy and as engaged as these folks were a couple years ago. I didn't have updated photos, but they loved it in 2015 and 2016 as well. As lead room monitors, you are at the heart of the conference. After all, attendees come to this event to learn more life-saving measures from our expert panel of speakers, and they do that during the sessions. So making sure the sessions run smoothly for the speaker and the participants ensures that the attendees can focus on the vital information being presented during the sessions, which are messages that will help to move us toward our goal to save them all. Take a minute and read the objectives on this slide. The session will last no more than an hour and probably shorter. And during that, we'll be reviewing not only your specific lead room monitor duties, but those of the associate room monitors as well. The reason we'll be reviewing the associate room duties is because as the room lead, it's important for you to know their responsibilities so that you can help direct them or help them out if necessary. Lastly, we'll review some generic responsibilities that are the responsibilities of all the volunteers. I included a sheet when I emailed you about this session, so I encourage you to have that open alongside and review it as we go through this presentation. Do you guys have any questions before we get started?
Not right now, no.
Nope, go ahead.
Okay, I forgot.
I'm good.
I was supposed to cue Boris to say that, not me. All right. Okay, since you will be introducing the speakers for each session, you will want to introduce yourself to the speakers. This is important because it provides a central point of contact for the speaker should they need assistance during their presentation. It also adds a wonderful personal touch to their experience. Introduce yourself to the speaker or speakers, sometimes there's two or more, and make sure to reach out to all of them. It's as simple as, hi, my name is Christina, I'll be your room lead today. Next, and one of the most important things you can do is to confirm the correct pronunciation of their names. You will be introducing the session and the speaker to the attendees over the microphone, so it is vital that you absolutely understand how to pronounce their names correctly. Names like Kathy Davis, Christy Brooks, and Ali Bender, they are easy enough. But how about these? Is it Rick Ducharme or Rick Ducharme? Denise Deisler or Deisler? Lori Weiss or Weiss? You need to make sure you are pronouncing their names correctly. We've had some embarrassing mispronunciations in the past, including errors of key conference sponsors. So this is a really important part of it. During your initial conversation with them, let them know how you plan to read the welcome, housekeeping items, and introduce the name of the session and speaker. If there are multiple speakers for one session, you will introduce all speakers at the beginning of the session. I'd like to call the rest of the discussion with the speaker as having a meaningful conversation. What do I mean by that? It's not just a set of questions and answers or instructions. It's about really listening to their needs and accommodating them as best as you can. Explain to the speaker about the timing signs. You will be given 4 8.5 by 11 paper signs with the numbers 15, 10, 5, 0 on them, signifying how many minutes the speakers has left. And of course, 0 means the session time is up. You'll hold up the signs in plain view for the speaker. Make sure the speaker knows where you are sitting or standing so they'll know where to look for the signs. Also, you'll find some only want a 5-minute notice while others want the full countdown. For multiple speakers, use the timing signs as appropriate. So in that conversation, you're going to find out what's best for them. Here are 2 scenarios that present 2 different outcomes you only know if you have a good conversation with the speakers. Scenario 1, your session has 2 speakers. In your discussion with them, you find out that speaker 1 only has 20 minutes of content and speaker 2 will take the remaining amount of time. So each would like their own countdown, and you'll have to watch the time closely. In contrast, scenario 2, the speakers are presenting in tandem, so they are fine with only one set of signs. In the end, simply confirm with them their preference and accommodate them. Third, you're going to help them with the wireless mic if needed. It just clips on. Each room will have 2 clip-on mics and 1 handheld mic for questions. You'll get to see the mics and how they work when we have our team huddle after you've reported for your volunteer shift before the sessions start. So on your scripts, you'll notice it says maybe the session starts at 10:30, but your volunteer session actually starts at 9:30. And that's why, because we have a team huddle where you'll meet your associates and set up the room. Each room will also have a presentation clicker for the speaker to use. Now it's time for you to take center stage for a few minutes. You'll be reading the session introduction document that has been created for each session and speaker. We refer to it as your script. You receive your scripts via email from me. So if you haven't gotten them, let me know. I'm pretty sure you all received them. Perfect. Thank you. I can't stress.
Yes, I got mine.
Oh, good, good. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to practice reading your script before you open your session. Some folks don't feel comfortable speaking in front of large groups, and it's totally understandable. But the only way to overcome anything is simply to practice. And in the long run, no one expects you to be ready for Hollywood. Just be yourself, welcome everyone, and let them know some housekeeping tips and read this speaker intro. So please practice out loud a couple times. It's important to do it out loud so that you get used to hearing yourself say the words, and that way they'll flow more easily when you do the actual introduction. Let's take a look at what you'll be reading. And keep in mind, this is like the most complicated version. I don't think any of the ones you guys got are this complicated. The top of the document will indicate the presentation name, the speaker, and the room information. You do not need to read that part. It is just for your reference to be sure that you have the correct document. You will start by welcoming everyone and then go into the housekeeping announcements, which are the general guidelines for the sessions. As the conference progresses, you may see less of these since attendees will become familiar with them. The documents will be updated for you, so simply read whatever is on the document. I want to note that Saturday morning there are 2 sessions. The first session, you won't have to read anything because there will be staff in there, so you'll just be doing the other duties of the lead room monitor, but you won't be speaking. So you won't have a script for the, I believe the Saturday morning shift is from 7:30 to 12:30. The first session you won't have a script for, and the second session will be a 10:30 a.m. script. So.
Christina?
Yeah.
Do we introduce ourselves? I don't see that on the script anywhere.
You know,
Should we introduce ourselves? I guess that's what I'm wondering.
I haven't done this since Atlanta. That's a good question. I remember in Atlanta that I said, hi, I'm Christina, a few housekeeping tips, you know, like good morning and welcome. My name's Christina. But that's not on the script. So I would say that's up to you. And when you're in the team huddle for your first session, there will be people who've done this many, many times. Mina, she's done this longer than I have. She'll be in there. And then, so this would be another, I would bring this up again because they'll be able to tell you. But I would say it's up to you if you want to introduce yourself to the group or not.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Good question. So after that, pause for a moment, and it's not a big pause. It's just 1,000. Say it to yourself. It's a really quick pause. Then continue to introduce the session. Our presentation is, and this morning's speakers or this afternoon's speakers are. This example on the slide is the session with the most speakers from a few years ago. So most only have one or two, and they won't be that complicated. You'll read their name and title, followed by, please join me in welcoming our speakers. Any questions on this?
No.
All right. That's it for your duties before the session begins. Your next focus will be after the session wraps up. Most conference attendees will be downloading the conference app and completing their session evaluations electronically, but there will be paper feedback forms in the room as well for those that aren't using the app. Once the forms are gathered up, and you might not have any paper forms, but sometimes you'll have a couple, you will complete the feedback cover sheet that you will then place on top of the completed forms. So let's take a look at that sheet. Here's an example of what it will look like. It has a session name already on it, along with spaces to record attendance and any comments. Every year we strive to make the conference experience the best yet, and we do that by listening to feedback. Best Friends staff look at every piece of data they can gather and read every comment that comes in. Do the best you can to get a good estimate of the head count a few minutes into the presentation and then about 10 minutes before the end. This will tell us if most folks stayed or if a lot left during the presentation. Don't underestimate the importance of this document, as your comments are just as important as those from attendees. So please make them meaningful. Here are some examples of things to think about and note as your feedback. Were attendees engaged? Did the presentation result in a lot of participation? Did attendees make any comments as they left, if they left early? Maybe something came up and it didn't have anything to do with the presentation not being good. Anything that will help us to improve next year. Once you've completed the cover sheet, place it on a pile of the paper surveys that are filled out for the session and give it to your team leader. Each section of rooms will have one team lead that will be assigned to it. It's kind of confusing because you guys are also leads. So that's what that means. Lastly, confirm that all the equipment stays in the room. Specifically, make sure the speaker doesn't leave with our clicker or mic at the end of the session. Most of them are pretty good about leaving it, but just double check. Do you guys have any questions about the lead room monitor duties before we move on to the associates?
Christina, how do you set up the rooms? Is there a podium up front, or like in my case, I think there's going to be 3 presenters. Mm-hmm. Would they be like sitting on in the front of the room on chairs, or do they rotate up to the podium? I'm just curious.
Usually there's a podium and then chairs. It kind of depends on what the speakers request.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So usually they won't switch in between sessions though. So whatever room, it'll stay set up the same way.
Okay.
Based on what they requested and what they let us know. Now, keep in mind that sometimes they don't let us know. They have a very specific idea of what they want, and then they don't let us know. And in that case, you know, we want to rearrange things to accommodate them. You
Sure.
can contact your team leader and they can get on the radio to get IT help if we need to switch anything out, things like that. But
great, thank you.
Yeah, so it should all be set up in advance. All right, any other questions?
I don't think so.
All right. Oh yeah, what was that?
No, I said I think I'm good. Actually, is there a particular way like you guys want us to dress? Like, keep it like not too average, or how?
So you'll want to wear, we would say slacks. Like first choice is slacks. Second choice is dark blue jeans. I would say any like color of slacks that's like basic, so tan, black, navy blue, maybe not hot pink. That would look bad with we have a fluorescent orange volunteer shirt we'll give you. So
Okay.
I actually think tan or dark blue looks the best, but we're supposed to recommend black. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so the associate room monitor duties. I've broken this down into what they'll be doing before, during, and after the session. Before the session starts, they'll need to place feedback surveys on the back table of the room. They may already be in there, so it might just be a matter of straightening it. And they should keep a few in hand for anyone that isn't using the conference app. They should also be standing outside the room to let guests know which session is in your room and be prepared to answer questions about where other rooms are. About 1 to 2 minutes before the session starts, they'll make an announcement at the doorway letting anyone left in the hall know that the session is about to start and to please come in and take a seat. Once the session starts, they'll close the door, but they need to stay, at least one of them will need to stay near it to catch it in order to prevent it from slamming when people enter or exit the room during the session. For me, this is so important. People will enter and exit after the session has started, so expect it, but it's really distracting to the speaker if the door's constantly slamming. So just make sure someone is monitoring that so that the session, people can focus on the session and not the door slamming. If a question is asked, they will quickly carry the handheld mic to the audience member who is asking the question. If the session is being recorded, well, actually most sessions are being recorded, so just assume they are. We want all questions asked into the microphone so that it is captured into the recording. Even if the session isn't being recorded, but I'm pretty sure they all are actually this year. We want everyone in the room to hear the question since the speaker may not repeat it. The room monitor should try to hang on to the mic if possible rather than giving it to the audience member. Sometimes it can be hard to get it back. After the session is over, they'll open the doors and stand at the exits to collect surveys as people leave. They need to gather any paper surveys the guests want to hand in as they leave, and they'll give them to you so that you can give them to the other lead. Do you guys have any questions about the associate room monitor duties?
Nope, all good.
All right.
Oh, that's great to have that support.
Yeah. You guys, it's a lot of fun. This is what I would do before I was actually managing the volunteers at the conference. This was my favorite position. What you guys are doing, introducing the speakers. So now let's talk about some things that all room monitors should be doing as a part of their volunteer role. So this is for both you and your associate monitors. Does anyone want to guess one of the most common conference questions you'll hear?
Where's the
Where's the
bathroom?
bathroom?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So know where the nearest restroom is. I would if you have a chance, take some time to walk around the facility and familiarize yourself with the basic layout so that you know common areas of interest, such as restrooms, the dining area, general room names, the registration area, and also where the lost and found is. Oh, the lost and found is, but the lost and found is at the registration area. So speaking of registration, this is kind of the command central for the conference. So if for some reason, like if you can't find your team lead and you need help, because they'll be checking on each room throughout the sessions, but if you need them right away, you need someone right away, you can go to the registration desk and there will always be someone with a radio headset that can get you the help you need there. And so they didn't, you guys probably got the map in my other video orientation, and it's not labeled with everything, but it's all very compact. That's the good thing about this session or this area. So it's not like you'll be very far away from it, except for you, Jeff, because your session is a big one, and so it's in the Atlantic City Ballroom. So when you guys do that training in the morning, you'll want to trade if you have a cell. I would just, bring your phone, and you might want to trade numbers with whoever your lead is so you can text them if something comes up.
Okay, gotcha.
Because you're a little further away.
Do you have an estimate of the size of the group that's going to be in that session? Like a rough estimate?
So I would guess yours is going to be the biggest because that session is the breakout where we talk by area, and since we're in the Northeast, you're in the Northeast section. I would guess like at least 100 people.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
But it could be more. People don't have to
Okay.
pick their sessions ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
So we can never know exactly for sure, but my guess would be actually maybe 200 to 300 because most people
that's fine.
are in the area. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So your team, oh, what? Sorry about that. I scrolled the wrong direction. The rest of the general duties can be grouped into those that involve the room and those that revolve around assisting attendees. In the room, everything should be straight and orderly, rows of chairs aligned, no garbage, papers, jackets lying around. There should be a water station with cups at the back of the room for attendees. Make sure this is stocked. Monitor the room temperature. If it's too hot or cold, notify your team leader immediately. Like I mentioned, we have 2 team leaders that will be splitting the oversight of the 6 to 8 rooms between them, and you'll meet them when you check in for your volunteer shift. Your team lead will have a headset on and will call Kathy Myers, our conference manager. If you know Kathy and you see she's in your room, feel free to talk to her yourself about any issues with the temperature or anything else. She often pops into the sessions. Make sure the speaker doesn't walk out with the clicker at the end of the session, and that this and the speaker mic are small, so it's easier for them to forget before they leave. With regard to, oh, sorry. There we go. I forgot to do my little cue. With regard to assisting the attendees, help folks find open seats if it's crowded. As long as exits and rows aren't blocked, it's fine for people to stand or sit on the floor if we run out of chairs. If people are lingering at the end of the session, kindly remind them that the next session starts. The breaks are about 30 minutes. We want folks to be able to stay and ask the speaker questions, but we also want to make room for the next speaker, if there is one, who is scheduled to be in the room 15 minutes prior to the next session starting. Lost and found items, as I mentioned, can be kept in the room throughout the session block, then given to team leaders to take to the registration desk for holding. And team leaders can certainly ask another volunteer to take the item up to registration if they don't have time. Okay, So this is a really, really important topic, and it's the final topic I want to address before we wrap up, and that is making accommodations for guests that need them in order to participate in the conference. I really hate to admit this, but this is an area where we haven't always given the best customer service, and we've disappointed some conference attendees in the past. And it's not just complying with the Americans with Disabilities Act because it's the law. It's because being accommodating and inclusive of all of our conference guests is the right thing to do, and being, as you saw in the video orientation, being inclusive is just really a part of Best Friends. We've had comments from attendees in wheelchairs who have said they were made to feel in the way, and other comments from attendees that were visually or hearing impaired who said that our staff and volunteers weren't as helpful as they would have expected, so please keep that in mind. If someone has specifically asked for an accommodation in a specific room that you'll be working in, we'll let you know that on the day of your shift. On the other hand, most guests don't let us know which sessions they'll be attending, and they shouldn't have to. So we just need to be open to helping anyone that needs it. We do have a guest that is hearing impaired, and most session rooms will have seats reserved in front for them and their interpreters in case they go to that session. So just keep that in mind. We also will have guests in power chairs and probably a few in wheelchairs, and they should not be relegated to the back of the room. Even if you have to remove a chair or two from the end of the row, this is what we want to do in order to be most helpful. The conference sessions are, like I said, all of them on the main floor, very close, except for the one in the Atlantic City Ballroom that will require escalators and an elevator to get to. So if you're not sure how to help someone, ask, please let me know how I can best assist you, and they'll often tell you. Does anyone have any questions on anything that we've covered today before we do a quick knowledge check?
No, sounds all reasonable and fair.
Good, thank you. Okay, so what is the first and most important thing you should do when you introduce yourself to the speaker?
Get their names right.
Perfect. Why is it important to get the mic to an attendee asking a question?
So everyone else can hear it?
Perfect, thank you. Why is it important to keep someone near the door at all times?
So the door doesn't slam.
Perfect. And where is the lost and found?
At the registration area, right?
Perfect. Lastly, true or false, everyone in a wheelchair should be told to sit in the back of the room.
False.
Perfect. You guys are awesome. Assist them with sitting where they will be comfortable. And we might have to move chairs. You guys are great. All right. In the end, our goal is to create an environment that lends itself to an amazing and enriching conference experience for everyone involved. And don't think that we forgot about you. We want you to have an amazing volunteer experience as well. I hope you've had as much fun as I've had, or I hope you have as much fun as I've had in the past. And I know you'll learn some things that you'll be able to take back to your rescues or your local efforts with the animals that will help us work toward the Best Friends goal to save them all. Thank you again for attending today's workshop and for volunteering at the 2017 Best Friends National Conference.